Hi, it's Laura at Hyperstamper. I have another antique book that I've turned into a junk journal today. And of course, everything in here, every page, every insert, every surprise is all authentic, antique, and vintage ephemera. There's no commercial pages or store-bought pages or digitals. It's just all wonderful pages from history over the last 100 to 150 years. And I would love to show you. This is one of the Ruby and Ruthie books from the series, and it's got this adorable picture on the cover of a little girl with her hat and the farms in the background. I added this vintage necklace. This was actually one of those clippy-on-y necklaces that pierced your ear in the most horrible way. And then I've added my vintage beads to make a fun bangle. And let's have a little look on the inside. I also have this antique lace here and some newer lace here for decoration. So I've put some vintage stamps on the first page here, and that's actually piano paper, piano player paper, piano paper, one of those. Okay. That's the original first plate of the book, and here is the first page as well, and the publisher's page, and we have here 1917 this book is from, so it's over 100 years old. This is the cover of a wonderful 1950s crochet book, and on this side I put a little antique Oxford dictionary here. I just love it. A little cluster inside. There's some original pages in there that you can journal on, and a little waterfall journaling page. Isn't that great? And then I got the little spine in there, the interior spine. So I love that. I've never done something quite like that, so I'm quite happy with it. This is from my American Highways Roadmap Atlas from 1955. And speaking of the 1950s, this is an original bingo card. And we have here a 100-year-old banknote. And this is just a sweet little picture from a teacher's teaching manual. And she would use that as a learning visual. And just some really cool vintage and antique pieces up there. I've got this really nice old vintage playing card and vintage Monopoly money, and that's all mounted on top of a 1950s stamp collector's book page. And I made this little mini journal, a little booklet out of my antique paper scraps. Just extra places for you to have fun with and journal in. That is a 1930s page there from a children's book. And this here I found, it fell out of a book that I had purchased, and it's you can see that somebody was practicing their cursive writing. Look at how beautiful that is, from Blockhouse. That just wonderful. This is all writing practice. Really cool. And let's see here, this is a 1920 children's book page. How sweet is that? I love it. And I got another one here. We've got a lullaby from a children's book from the 30s again. And this is an antique book on flowers here and perennials. And we have more pansies, one of my favorite flowers. Antique paper on both sides for extra journaling space there as well. And I'm not going to argue with that right now because I don't want to wreck it. This is a great page out of a 1950s teen music magazine, and it's got, look at this, Andy Williams in the headlines. So it's got these wonderful ads here, words to songs. It's just a really cool, fun piece. I pulled that from an antique book, The Key to Yesterday, and put a hidden journaling spot under here and here. And this is from my vintage Birds, Eggs, and Their Nests book, full color. And look at the round egg that owls have. That's so cool. I didn't realize that until I saw this plate. That's so cool. Here's another cover there from that crochet book. And here is a fun crochet piece to go with it. 1950s sewing book page and a plate from the very early 1900s. You can journal on the back side there. And this wonderful postcard that would have been colored in a really unique way. And that is from the 1920s. And then this is a vintage botanical page here. So look at those beautiful tulips on both sides. Just lovely. Vintage school book page. And look at this, came from an antique book on strawberries, if you can believe it. How cool is that? The whole book was on strawberries. You'll see some of that coming up in more of my journals this summer. Really fun clusters here. More vintage tulips. 1950s receipt. And then this here, which is just a little bit stuck. There we go. And it's just a really fun little illustration from a book. It would have been sort of a young lady's book with antique paper on the back for more journaling. Pearl Shop receipt from the 50s. Here's a handwritten piece from an 1884 article. This is one of these antique book plates. I have a book of them. They were brand new, or sorry, a whole box of them. So they look brand new, but they're actually really old. They've been preserved for so long. So that's very cool. I made that pocket out of a crochet doily. A nice, beautiful vintage children's book page there. And then I have here a vintage dictionary page that I put some antique paper on, and I just loved that beautiful column, Roman column there. And then this is a really cool piece. Look at this one here. It's so telling of the times too. So look at we've got the needlepoint ad here, and on the other side, all these fantastic pictures that readers would have sent in, and that is from the 1950s. A lot of fun to look at and go through and reuse in any way that you like, or just enjoy it. That is a vintage cigar band. I had a collection of them, so little piece of upholstery fabric there. I thought they went nicely together. I love different textures. And that's a beautiful plate from 1955, embroidery book. And another plate here of somebody making the embroidery. That is from an English literature book, early 1900s, pre-1910. And this is a wonderful little page of a children's school book. This one's on nature, and this one's on aquariums. This is also an antique book page I made into a peekaboo pocket. And then I've got this lovely plate here from pre-1905. I love it. 1950s Theatre World magazine page, and another vintage children's book page, and a vintage music sheet. And then I pulled this from an antique book, made a tag out of it for you to journal on the back of and just enjoy. This is from an antique perennial book, and this is a 1920s map from a geography book here, and we have France, Spain, and Portugal. Just gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh, I love old maps. And then just a little piece from a children's book page just to cover up some of the plain text here, and you can of course journal on all the white space. Another antique book page here for journaling. That's blank. A book from my Renoir, vintage Renoir book. And then this is another awesome one from the London Free Press, that 1960, and that was probably a news photo that they would have sent out to publicize this play. I really think that's cool. And then this here is that wonderful Renoir picture here from the inside. And that is the last page of this book. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.